Hey guys, so I just saw Spider-Man Brand New Day. I have some big feelings about it, right? So, we've never had this many Spider-Man movies for like one Spider-Man. Most we've gotten is 3. Least we've gotten is 2. Unless you want to count Morbius. In that case, -1 based off the amount of box office bombs. And so, you know, whether or not you want to argue about, like, the longevity of the MCU, I don't know if that's what I want to talk about today. Moreover, and maybe we're not going to know this until we really get into the nitty-gritty of how the film was made, what things were changed, what things were kept, what things were left on the cutting room floor. But this movie doesn't feel like a brand new day to me. This movie doesn't really feel like it lives up to its name. Spoilers ahead, by the way. This is a full, complete, raw, in-the-cheeks spoiler review of the film that I watched, I believe, like 2 days ago at this point. So I've been sitting with a little bit. And I will say, just off the top of my head, movie just should not be called Brand New Day. It does not feature a Spider-Man freshly by himself, actively trying to move on from, you know, his past life from the last movie. And, you know, where do we really put that line, right? Is the Brand New Day part that just, oh, he no longer lives with his aunt because his aunt died? It's like, okay, but he's not really doing anything differently that he was when he lived there, so that really can't be the Brand New Day thing, right? He's just more New York focused, I guess? Right? Because all the other Spider-Man movies, he wasn't really a New Yorker. He wasn't really in New York for a lot of those movies, right? Maybe that's a stupid thing to say. You know, the second one, he just fully wasn't in New York. First one, he was dealing with a labor union, admittedly, pretty New York. And the third movie was just kind of, I don't know if you really want to count that. Because, like, oh, okay, we had the Statue of Liberty. But we had the Statue of Liberty fight. That's really it. You know, so I don't really know if this felt new. It just felt like Spider-Man, but with baggage. Which is really, admittedly, not a brand new day. That's not a fresh slate that we're making a new Spider-Man trilogy on. Which, assumably, we will be getting a new Spider-Man trilogy out of this. Because this alone has, like, fucking $1.5 billion it's made already. Right? So, like, this is the Spider-Man we're with. Whether or not I truly believe that Tom Holland is my Spider-Man. He's the Spider-Man I've watched the most of. So, why doesn't he really feel like my Spider-Man? He's a fake broke dude. That bothers me. I live in New York. Fun fact. So, when I see Spider-Man just get a fucking flat loft, studio, storage room, whatever the fuck, and I see him dumping all of his $20,000 billion 3D printers and gaming setup in that, a lot of people are bringing that up. And that's not a good thing in the movie, they think. I agree with them. A lot. We're missing some key parts of the Spider-Man DNA here, I feel, right? Like, admittedly, there used to be a New York where you could be a freelance photographer and live in the city and have, like, a shitty apartment. That's not really a thing anymore, I would argue. We don't really live in that reality anymore, so I get that, right? Spider-Man doesn't do freelance stuff, though. He's not, like, actively looking for a job. He's not actively working somewhere. We don't have the Daily Bugle in this film. So it's like, again, we're working with a bunch of weird, mismatched shit. So how do they really square that away? They don't. I hope that helps. They don't square that away. He just miraculously has this incredible fucking apartment in New York City. And, you know, we'll just have to assume it's all the money the government gave him from the Avengers and shit. That's what I've heard some people say online. It's like, oh my god, how could you say that? He has this nice new apartment and it's all hoity-toity and he has his 3D printers and his all that shit. Well, it's because he was the Avengers. He worked with the Avengers and he has all this money and, you know, the government likes him. It's like, that's a cop-out. that's a cop-out. That's stupid. Okay? Respectfully. That's stupid. I don't like that idea. I want Spider-Man not to be poor, but I want to know where he's getting that money. Because where he's getting that money is a plot point. How does he get that money? How does it intertwine with his personality as Spider-Man when he has to juggle all these things? He's not juggling shit in this movie. He's just depressed, LARPing a loner. Spider-Man's LARPing. Spider LARPer. Right? He's got all this shit, but we're missing the important part where he's not juggling shit. He just has money, has an apartment, does crime. And that's the kind of the film is being like, oh, well, you know, Peter was wished away, so the balance of Peter and Spider-Man is really, you know, Spider-Man's taking over. And it's like, at the end of the film, that doesn't change. So, is that really the point they're making? Right? That like, oh, Peter has to choose between, you know, how much Spider-Man and how much Peter he lets out. 6'7", right? No. Because in the film, his, I guess, mutated genes start kicking in because this is the mutant saga, right? And so it's like, oh, Spider-Man is taking over Peter's life. Well, Peter doesn't have a life, actively. And by the end of the movie, he still doesn't. He just keeps being Spider-Man. So maybe that's a plot point for another movie. Maybe all of this was just to set up the mutant saga. And, you know, for that, I will say Peter Parker's relationship with the government in these movies is so, like, maybe I was a kid and I didn't realize it before, but, like, the fact that Spider-Man, like, college-age Spider-Man at this point, they're all in MIT, so he is a college student, is just every single agent of the government that he finds doesn't feel like Spider-Man. It feels like MCU Spider-Man, because MCU Spider-Man had Tony Stark, who was literally his everything, right? That was his Uncle Ben for all we fucking care. And he's dead. But it just doesn't match with the Spider-Man I have in my head. My image of Spider-Man is not guy who really loves working for his government. He's a vigilante. I think the only reason this bothers me so much in the film is Spider-Man calls the mayor. Like, actively has the phone contact of the mayor, and it, like, they call and they have this weird mom and son dynamic, and it's like, this is gross. This is gross. It's just not an appropriate thing to have in this Spider-Man movie. That he's sucking and fucking every member of the government he comes across. Little Miss, no. I'm a vigilante, but I love authority. I love the local government and the authority guys. It's just weird. It's weird, and it's not Spider-Man. And you know, I will save all of that, I guess. I don't like, and you know, I will say by the end of the film, he goes against the Department of Damage Control, which he kind of should have been against from the beginning. Again, because he's Spider-Man. But that's kind of me having this conversation about who is Spider-Man and who is Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Because who Spider-Man is and who Tom Holland's Spider-Man are very different things. And at some level, you have to understand that, okay? Is we have the MCU, and, you know, that's the Spider-Man in the MCU. The guy that, like, loves big tech, loves the government. He has to learn, I guess, to not. Hopefully. I mean, by the end of the movie, he does not like damage control, but he still fucks with the mayor. So I don't know, I guess he still has to learn that lesson. But I've been being very negative, so I have in my notes a bunch of negative things to bring up. I'm going to stop that really quickly. I just want to talk about the things that I liked in this movie. Because there are things I like in this movie. It's a Spider-Man movie. Obviously, no matter what, I love Spider-Man. I'm going to come out of this movie with something that I enjoyed. Something that I really enjoyed. This is the first MCU movie we really had that actively felt like an MCU film. Right? he sees Yelena, he sees the Hulk, he sees the Punisher, and it's like, that's enough, actually. That's all I need. He has an active relationship with the Punisher because he's a fucking New York vigilante. Of course he's running to the Punisher. I think the idea of having Bruce Banner be like a college professor, I think that's a phenomenal way to write him into the film. Because what else is he going to be fucking doing right now? So he should be an active agent in the New York scene for the Avengers, right? Like, don't get me wrong, Spider-Man is a New York superhero. So when we see a Spider-Man movie, we should, in some microcosm, see the superhero scene in New York. And I think this movie genuinely successfully stepped up to the plate and said, okay, well, here's what an actual, like, New York with superheroes in it would be. And obviously they use that all very well. I think the final battle between possessed Hulk and Peter Parker and the Punisher, I think that's an incredible setup. I like seeing a character so outclassed fight another MCU character. I love the idea of the Hulk versus the Punisher. Because of course the Punisher doesn't win that. But it's fun to see him try. That's something important. I don't need to see every character win every fight, but I want to see stuff like that because I like the superheroes in this universe. And so I want, like, how else am I going to see them interact like this? And so I think they really understood the assignment. They really did well on that point. So for the connectivity, for the character dynamics in this, great. I think having the Punisher be the acting agent, not having Daredevil in this, interesting. I'm not saying I wanted him. Honestly, what we have was enough. The perfect amount, right? Spider-Man's the only character they've really got in this universe that, like, actively, when he's in trouble, he's like, I'm just gonna go call another superhero real quickly. Just get a second opinion, you know? It's like, good. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're supposed to do. If your powers are just Spider and you're coming across like a black hole demon monster, yeah, call the local magician. You don't have to do that alone. You can get at least get some inside baseball on what the thing is, right? So like that's what they did good about. I would say that's what they've been doing good about the Spider-Man movies. And of course the action is off the top. Perfect. They understand Spider-Man combat perfectly. I would say kudos to that. A lot of the cinematography in this is actually really great. The specific shot of him inside his mask, how they managed to get him and then outside the mask, I think that's genuinely impressive. I think maybe the movie could have been like a twinge more saturated. I think it was just a little very desaturated for a movie, but I think that's more of a nitpick than anything. And I know this does kind of go against everything I was saying before. But in that sense, this is kind of the most independent Spider-Man we've really had. Right? In the sense that, like, no friends, no parental figures. Where does he go from there? Right? That's an independent Spider-Man. That's our brand new day. He lives by himself. What does he do? Immediately finds a paternal figure in the mayor and immediately tries to rekindle his friendships. Which, you know what? Time has passed since the last movie, so, like, I would have loved to see that Spider-Man. But, the Punisher is a good foil to Spider-Man in this movie because he brings up a real point of, like, I am isolated because my whole family has died. I have nobody left, and I kill people for kind of my sentence. It was a good thing he brought up in the movie. He's like, kid, this is not a lifestyle. This is a sentence. And Spider-Man's like, oh, okay. And then immediately, tries to be like nice to someone. Tries to get his friends back. So it's messy, but there are things that they do right in this film. Absolutely. The dynamic between Spider-Man and the other superheroes, great. John Bernthal is the shining star in this movie John Bernthal does such a good fucking job in this movie. And this is the first major, like, main MCU film to feature the Punisher in it, which is hilarious to think about. He did so good in this movie. He should be in every MCU movie. He should have been in the 2012 Battle for New York, even though I think his family was still alive. He should have just been there, like eating an ice cream cone. Watch all the aliens go by, just be like, oh! Because that's how John Bernthal. I mean, that's how the Punisher. That's before his family died. Every time he wanted to say something, he'd go, oh! This is just animal grunts. Now I will say, because I haven't talked about Jean Grey as much, just because I don't really think there's anything to say about Jean Grey in this movie. Just, she's a telepath. She kills so many fucking people in this movie. So when we do the inevitable, mutants aren't all that bad. They're just, marginalized by the government. It's like, okay, you did kill a lot of fucking people, Jean Grey. Jean Grey, you killed a lot of people. Which, whatever. I think we will gloss over that very fast. But I do have one actually major problem with this movie, and it's not how Ned and MJ are handled. Because MJ, this is like the second MCU. I don't want to say that. It's like the second MCU woman character, like woman romance. It's just a horrible sentence I'm saying. This is the second, like, I don't know why I'm blanking on this, but she's the second romantic interest. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. She's the second romantic interest to have her memory, like, wiped, or her character wiped, and then go to the character that she used to be in a relationship with and be like, that's just not me anymore. I'm sorry, dude. They already did that with Star-Lord. So, admittedly, it was a little less punctual here, because all I could think about was how they already did that in Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'm more just confused now because, and again, this was kind of a thing people were clowning on Twitter, but like, Ned remembers Peter. In the film, it's implied that he remembers them. Just by doing a little dap up. Just like that. And it's like, respectfully, Zendaya, you've been inside Tom Holland. There's no way that magic made you forget. In the movie. I'm just saying. Unless the implication here is that Ned and Peter were fucking each other crazy style every fucking minute that MJ was not looking there. I'm just saying, that bond, I'm surprised that bond lasted and not MJ and Peter's. I think that's their way of just getting these characters out of the way. Whether they're going to stay for the next movies, I don't really know. I don't know. I just think it felt like leftovers. That's what it felt like. Did Ned and MJ really need to be in this movie? Absolutely not. All they served was, well, we brought this up in the last movie, so we kind of have to bring it up now. Because really, think about it. A rogue telepath goes around New York City because her sister was kidnapped by a major government force. Has nothing to do with what's happening to Spider-Man right now in this movie. He's just the one guy that picks up the issue, right? There's nothing uniquely Spider-Man about this until they're like, oh, but Spider-Man can detect when Jean Grey's possessing somebody. Which, like, fine. Yeah, that's... The spider sense has always kind of worked like that, where you can make it do whatever you need to for the plot, I guess. That being said, that's not the biggest problem I have with that movie. Aside from the fact that Peter only rescues MJ, not Ned. I think they wrote that out because he was, like, away in Boston. But, like, very convenient. Instead, and this is the title in the thumbnail of the video, 1,000%. I am so unbelievably uncomfortable. Like, it's time we have a conversation about Spider-Man and AI. It is. Because, to me, we've had the evolution of Jarvis and Friday, and then Iron Man kind of passing that down to Peter. Those movies were like almost 20 years ago at this point. And things are very different. I just cannot stomach the idea of, and this kind of goes above Spider-Man. I no longer can I stomach the idea of the biggest superhero movie on the planet being this pro AI anymore. Because whether you want to have this conversation or not, it's in every little pore of our reality right now, which is a nightmare. But moreover, I think it's kind of problematic, and I think it's frankly dangerous now to have a character like Spider-Man who isolates himself from all of his friends and family and heavily relies on an AI chatbot assistant for most of his socialization. I think that's a problem. I think that's bad. I think we need to, as a culture, have another conversation about that specific topic. Because now, that's not fiction anymore. It's a real thing, and it kills people. A little kid is going to watch this movie, and whether you want to agree with me or not, it's the reality. When we watch media, we take what we see, and we decode it into our heads, and it tells us things about our reality that we move on with outside of that theater and take. That's why stereotypes in films are dangerous. That's why if you see a person of color depicted in a film as lazy, stealing things, talking slurred words, it's offensive, rightfully so, because people are going to watch that and it's going to infer their reality. It's just the basic theory of decoding and encoding. Stuart Hall, that's the theory, right? So now, outside of that, we have to level with the biggest superhero on the planet using an AI chatbot. And here's the thing that really gets me. Spider-Man doesn't do a lot of Spider-Manning in this. He does a lot of ChatGPT, use facial tracking to find Jean Grey. Bullshit. That's a horrible fucking cop-out of a plot. The fact that Jean Grey gets fucking face ID'd from being in a cab because Spider-Man looked at her and they translate that blurry fucking JPEG into a perfect fucking pull up her file on everything. That's not Spider-Man. That's barely even Batman. It's just fucking creepy. And the only thing I can really see when I look at that is like, the film wants me to think this is cool. The film wants me to be able to think that tracking somebody with cameras throughout a city is cool. And all that makes me think of is the current world I live in right now, where flock cameras are being used by police in the real world to stalk people and to profile people. And I look at that and I see a lot of the MCU films are funded by the United States government. And so I'm sitting here, I'm just trying to enjoy my Spider-Man fantasy movie, and all I can pick up is this stuff. And it's making me uncomfortable. It doesn't feel right. And I don't like what I'm seeing. I don't like that Spider-Man relies on mass surveillance technology, and I'm supposed to think that's cool. That's not his superpower. I don't like that he relies on an AI agent anymore, because the world we live in is changed in the same way Spider-Man didn't used to have a smartphone, and now he's 3D printing his suits. We have to level with the fact that there are real AI chatbots in the world, and they kill people. They kill people by doing exactly what Peter does in this film. Peter isolates himself from every single person he knows, and his 99% of his social interaction is with a fucking AI bot. And so a kid's gonna see that, they're going to take that out of, they're going to watch the film, they're going to be like, oh, that's cool, I want an AI chatbot like that. They're going to get an AI chatbot's going to tell them to kill themselves. Is that slightly hyperbolic? Yeah, of course. You're watching a YouTube video. Respectfully, I'm going to be a little hyperbolic, especially with my criticisms of Spider-Man. But it was just such a disgusting aftertaste to watch the movie and realize how many of the plot points revolved around Spider-Man's ability of mass surveillance and AI chatbot. It made me uncomfortable. It made me uncomfortable because we don't live in a world where that's fantasy anymore. We live in a world where those are real things and they're really dangerous. Not even just about specifically mass surveillance, more specifically about the AI chatbots. In 2008, Jarvis was cool. In 2026, Jarvis destroys the environment and has to be powered by a fucking AI data center that is actively putting out noise pollution that is affecting the health of everybody nearby. Is that radical? Maybe. But this is my opinion. You're okay to disagree with me. Frankly, you're okay to support artificial intelligence and mass surveillance if that's really something you can level away with yourself, then more power to you. If you liked the movie, I think that's great. I also liked the movie. I like Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. I just think it's weird. I think it's really weird how I'm seeing all these things in, like, the biggest movie of the year, especially, like, the biggest mainstream movie, right? Obviously, there's better movies coming out this year. There's better indie movies coming out this year. There's better everything, right? But Spider-Man gets people in theaters. Spider-Man is the mainstream. Spider-Man is global. So that's my problem, right? Is that we're seeing this and we're sitting in this theater and the character we love, Spider-Man, is using all of this stuff that subtly it's supposed to tell us that it's okay because Spider-Man uses it, so it's okay when we use it or when our government uses it. That's how it comes off to me. I don't know. It's like, Joey, one of the main villain is the government agency. Yeah, for sure. That's like if the TSA was the main bad guy of this film. When the real bad guys are the fucking Department of Justice or Homeland Security. I don't even know if that's a good metaphor because the TSA is also folded into the Department of Homeland Security. Was this too political? I don't really care. I hope you enjoyed the movie. I hope you didn't have to worry about what I had to worry about while watching this movie. If I've made you think any differently about the movie, let me know in the comments below. This is my channel where I live stream every day. I also like to put little fun videos like this out on the side, so subscribe if you'd like daily live streams of video games, community, and a relaxed chat. Otherwise, subscribe to my main channel, The John Chairs, where I promise I upload. I just graduated college, so that's why I haven't really been getting a lot of stuff done on the channel. If anything, I just graduated with a bachelor's in media studies, so congrats to me. And because I have this bachelor's now, I feel so stupid. At the same time, I also get really uncomfortable when I notice stuff in movies now. I'm just gonna take one more quick parse at my notes, and then I'm gonna get out of your face today, right? Movie shouldn't be called Brand New Day. Peter's apartment pisses me off. Peter's relationship with the government pisses me off. The movie doesn't really feel Spider-Man focused for a while. Like, it doesn't really feel like Peter needed to be the one that does all of this. Obviously, I'm glad he is, and obviously they use Jean Grey to, they use the spider sense to kind of make the only reason he can do it that. There is one slight nitpick I have with the movie. One slight nitpick I have, and it's when Peter and the Punisher are going to stop Jean Grey, and Spider-Man's like, Hulk, he goes, Punisher, I'm gonna fight Hulk. You go fight the telepath. that will immediately know you're there and immediately take over your mind. He didn't even tell her. Or he didn't even tell him. He's like, Frank, don't go fight the telepath. She'll just go in your mind and fucking take you over. I don't know why that wasn't a conversation they had. Like, I get it. Obviously, you don't leave Frank to fight the Hulk, but, like, you don't leave him to fight a telepath either. What did you expect? I like the MCU connectivity. I like the general action. I like that, for what it's worth, we're finally getting Peter out under the wing of other superheroes. That's kind of what I meant by saying he's very independent in this. He's not actively looking to other superheroes like Tony Stark to kind of babysit him and give him hero training. He's just a hero now. He knows what to do 10 out of 10 times. Even though he has to learn about the Department of Damage Control to really get that over. To kind of get that over his head that he needs to act independently. Stop calling the fucking mayor, you freak. Weird. That's a young boy. That's a young man, Miss Mayor, from the Daredevil show. Why you keep calling him? You're weird. Obviously, it's fucking crazy that Peter is the one that makes the mutant inhibitor collars. Fucking insane that he didn't think about even slightly how much that would affect the rest of the world. That's what feels the craziest to me, is he doesn't think someone's gonna knock that off of him and study the technology and use it to fucking... What are you gonna do? He didn't ask ChatGPT if it was dangerous or not. And of course, I don't know whatever they want to do with Ned and MJ in these movies anymore. If Ned's gonna stay his best friend because he dapped him out of the spell, or if they're just gonna... They're not gonna get rid of fucking Zendaya in these movies. So what? Is he just supposed to be like, oh, this is my best friend that remembers me, and my ex-girlfriend that no longer remembers me, but I absolutely still love her? It's messy. It's messy, and it doesn't feel like a brand new day. It feels like a brand new sequel. But that being said, I think it's fine. I can easily recommend this movie to anybody that hasn't seen it yet. I think you're crazy if you haven't seen it yet. It's been in theaters for almost a week. So if the John chairs was the thing keeping you from seeing the Spider-Man movie, unbelievable. As I said, please comment, disagree with me, agree with me in the comments. I'm always very interested. And moreover, pop over on my Twitch, pop over on this channel to watch my live streams. I multi-stream every day. Currently playing Eastward and Fallout New Vegas. That's it. See ya. Spider-Man, does a spider is a man.